Today in the show, we have the House of Mouse headlines brought to you by laughingplace.com, your up-to-date resource for the latest Disney news every day of the week. This episode is being released on November 1st, 2023, and here's what's been going on in the world of Disney recently. More details on Jollywood Nights at Walt Disney World, a special Hoop-Dee Holidays event for Disney Vacation Club members, an opening date for the Adventureland Treehouse, and more.
Hear the latest news from the Walt Disney Company in today's House of Mouse headlines.
Longtime voices of Disneyland and Disney California Adventure, Bill Rogers and Camille Dixon, are moving on from their roles. With contract renewals approaching, the Disneyland Resort made the decision to move forward with new voices for in-park announcement recordings. While Rogers and Dixon will no longer be recording new park announcements, guests will still be able to hear their voices for the time being. Rogers has been the announcer of the Disneyland Resort since 1991, taking over for the legendary Jack Wagner. His wife, Dixon, took on the duties of announcer for Disney California Adventure when the park's reimagining was completed in 2012. In a statement, a Disneyland spokesperson said, "We're so grateful to all the talented actors, including Bill and Camille, who have shared their voices with our guests throughout the years and thank them for all their contributions." After more than 2 years of construction, the reimagined Adventureland Treehouse will finally open at Disneyland on November 10th. The new Adventureland Treehouse will introduce a fresh story for the next generation of parkgoers to experience and enjoy. As the story goes, the family fashioned an oasis among the trees, inspired by nature and using objects found around them. Here they can collaborate together while also pursuing their individual skills, talents, passions, and interests. There will be plenty to explore when the updated Treehouse debuts in just a few days. But wait, Magic Key holders will be able to experience the overhauled attraction even sooner. On November 9th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., current Magic Key holders have the opportunity to preview the reimagined Adventureland Treehouse. Key holders are asked to check in along Rivers of America across from the Golden Horseshoe in Disneyland Park to verify their Magic Key pass and receive a wristband prior to experiencing the Treehouse. The Disneyland Resort has announced that the Palm Breeze Bar will open on Thursday, November 2nd, within the new villas at Disneyland Hotel. Open to the public, this outdoor dining venue was designed with modern decor inspired by the artistry of Disney legend Mary Blair. A variety of food selections will be available at this location, including ahi tuna tataki, a chocolate chip cookie sandwich with vanilla ice cream, a garden pizza with plant-based cheese, and much more. Of course, in addition to these tasty dishes, there will also be a variety of alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages available, including a signature margarita and tropical shandy. To see the full menu, you can visit Disneyland.com or check out the Palm Breeze Bar at the Disneyland Hotel starting tomorrow. Disneyland has revealed that the transformation of Disney's Paradise Pier Hotel into the Pixar Place Hotel will officially be completed on January 30th, 2024, becoming the first fully Pixar-themed hotel in the United States. The Pixar Place Hotel will evoke the inspiration and humor that goes into every Pixar project, while also celebrating the artistic process. Showcasing early sketches to finished design, the art and decor will highlight vibrant Pixar stories, revealing some never-before-seen artwork. Disney also shared a look inside one of the reimagined guest rooms. From pillows inspired by the Pixar ball to lighting reminiscent of the Luxo lamp, there will be plenty of whimsical nods in these comfortable and contemporary accommodations. Ahead of the official changeover in January, Great Maple is set to open up this month. The restaurant will bring its innovative menu of upscale comfort food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This modern American eatery will serve a robust selection of dishes made from scratch daily, including the Cajun shrimp and cheddar biscuit benedict, soda pop braised baby back ribs, charred cauliflower hummus, maple pecan crusted salmon, market fish, a variety of inspired salads, and buttermilk fried chicken and maple bacon donuts. Damn, that sounds good. Additionally, an all-new menu will debut at the rooftop pool bar to be named Small Bites, serving up salads, wraps, assorted cheese plates, and more, which you can enjoy with signature beverages. So get ready for Great Maple's arrival this month, followed by the official debut of the Pixar Place Hotel on January 30th. Walt Disney World's ambitious Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser may be closed, but guests visiting Disney's Hollywood Studios can still pick up some Shangri-La Starline merchandise in a couple of locations. Apparel, accessories, and other formerly exclusive items have been spotted both at Doc Ondor's Den of Antiquities in Galaxy's Edge, as well as at Keystone Clothiers near the park's entrance. Of course, supply of these items is limited, so it's hard to say how long they'll be around for. But if you missed out on the Star Cruiser experience and want to get your hands on some Shangri-La Starline goods, you may want to visit Walt Disney World ASAP. Disney's Blizzard Beach water park will once again reopen on November 6th. This announcement comes soon after the launch of the Disney Water Park Seasonal Pass, which allows guests to visit Blizzard Beach and Typhoon Lagoon over and over again, now through May 24th, 2024, for just $79 plus tax. That said, with the reopening of Blizzard Beach, Typhoon Lagoon will be closed for refurbishment beginning November 6th. A fan-favorite event is returning to Walt Disney World early next year. We may still have about a month left of the EPCOT International Food and Wine Festival, but Walt Disney World is already looking ahead to the EPCOT International Festival of the Arts, which will kick off on January 12th, 2024. At the event, guests will have the opportunity to embrace their creative side, please their palate with delicious dishes, indulge in dazzling entertainment, and more. The festival will also see the return of the Disney on Broadway concert series, which will give guests the chance to sit back and sing along with show-stopping numbers from legendary Disney musicals. The EPCOT International Festival of the Arts 2024 will run January 12th through February 19th, 2024. The Oriental Land Company, which owns the Tokyo Disney Resort, has announced that Fantasy Springs will open on June 6, 2024. The park's 8th themed port will consist of 3 different areas: Frozen Kingdom, Rapunzel's Forest, and Neverland. Plus, the area will include an entry gate to the Tokyo Disney Sea Fantasy Springs Hotel. To enter Fantasy Springs and enjoy the new locations and attractions, a standby pass, available free of charge, or Disney Premier Access, available for a fee, will be required for eligible attractions. With these passes for a specific attraction, guests will be able to enter the port at a specified time to enjoy both the new area and the attraction. For more details on Fantasy Springs and its attractions, be sure to check out Laughing Place's article, which will of course be linked in this episode's show notes. Guests at Tokyo Disney Resort will finally be able to mobile order their food, as the Disney Mobile Order System is coming to the resort on November 8th. This service will be available free of charge, providing guests the convenience of designating the pickup time of their orders by using the app. At launch, the service will be available at 4 restaurants: Plasma Ray's Diner and Grandma Sarah's Kitchen at Tokyo Disneyland, as well as Kasbah Food Court and Yucatan Base Camp Grill at Tokyo Disney Sea. These restaurants will continue to accept orders at the counter as well, and Disney Mobile Order is scheduled to become available at more restaurants in the future. Shanghai Disney Resort has announced the opening date for the city of Zootopia. The new area will open at the park on December 20th and will be the 8th themed land in Shanghai Disneyland. Spanning years of development, talent from around the globe collaborated to build this dynamic city that immerses guests in a holistic experience at every touchpoint. The opening of the area will see the introduction of an exciting new attraction, Zootopia Hot Pursuit, where guests will hop on the all-terrain cruiser powered by a trackless ride system in an action-filled chase through Zootopia's different districts. The land will also offer several new themed entertainment experiences, character moments, and so much more. So while we wait to see if a similar land could possibly come closer to home in the future, hopefully we'll see more from Shanghai's Zootopia as the land's December 20th opening date draws nearer. As promised, Ravensburger is moving forward with plans to get Disney Lorcana into the hands of more fans. On that note, the reprint of the first chapter boosters and starters has been moved up and will begin shipping mid-November. This means that these products will be arriving around the same time that the next installment, Rise of the Floodborn, debuts. In addition to this news, Ravensburger also announced that, starting the second quarter of next year, they will have both official fan events and an official competitive circuit. Fan events will be a way for Disney fans to come together to share their love of Disney Lorcana, even if they may not necessarily play the game. Players can also expect exclusives for each of these types of events, with more details to come in January 2024. Ultimately, if you've been waiting to get started with Disney Lorcana due to lack of availability, the wait should nearly be over. And now it's time to bring back Kyle Burbank from laughingplace.com. Kyle, it's been so long. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, you talked to Aaron Wallace sooner than you talked to me. That's a rarity.
It's true. I was traveling. I was in Orlando. You were in Hong Kong. We have adventures to talk about.
I landed in Orlando the day after you left.
Which is very sad. Like, can we just...
It was sad.
It is very sad. I went to Massachusetts and you were like in Orlando the next day and I had just been there. That is very sad. We did not plan that well, but... Or I'm just avoiding you and not telling you. One or the other is the case. But in any case, shall we get to some news?
Let's do it.
All right, because on select nights in November and December, eligible Disney Vacation Club members are invited to celebrate the holidays in true pioneer fashion at Disney Vacation Club Hoop-Dee Holidays. Who saw this coming? Say howdy to a festive music and comedy review and fantastic feast among your fellow members, plus enjoy a member-exclusive pre-show and keepsake to commemorate your evening. A Hoop-Dee-Doo Musical Revue Christmas edition? I think this is a first, right?
I mean, I am not going to pretend to be at all up to date on the entire lore of the Hoop-Dee-Doo Revue. I've never actually seen it. But I know that this is surprising because I know that there's a lot of rumors that the show is going to go away entirely. So for them to not only, bring it back and keep going, but then also do this like special boutique version, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me that this show still exists because, and not that it's not good. Like, well, first of all, I saw it more than 20 years ago. I saw it like 30 years ago. Jesus. And I remember loving it as a kid, but it's not something I hear people talk about very often. It's not something that I feel is heavily marketed. It's not in a convenient location. I don't understand how this show still exists.
I guess it's just word of mouth and vacation slides that keep people coming back.
Unbelievable. So it's apparently going strong enough. Of course, it's had updates through the years. And yeah, now we got a Christmas version. This special holiday version of the beloved show will take place on Tuesday, November 28th and Tuesday, December 12th at 4 p.m. and 6:15 p.m. Bookings are now available by calling DVC Member Services. They mentioned this exclusive pre-show. So does that mean that general public can come to this as well and only DVC get the pre-show? Or I was a little confused by that wording.
Yeah, or maybe the show is the normal show, but the pre-show is what's actually the holiday part?
Oh, maybe. It's a little interesting the way it's worded. Part of it sounds like, general public can come, and then there's additional things DVC only gets, and then sometimes it sounds like it's only for DVC. So I'm not 100% sure based on the information that was given. But regardless, Hoop-Dee-Doo Christmas, man. Hey, it's happening. And nobody saw it coming. And can I just say I love that? Because there are so many spoilers and leaks when it comes to Disney fandom. When something knocks us over the head and we're just like, where the hell did that come from? It makes me happy.
The last time I can think of that happening was the Carousel of Progress and the People Mover updates to the audio in the case of the People Mover and the last scene just getting some like new apparel and things like that.
Yeah.
For Carousel of Progress.
Yeah, and that was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, something like that. So
who can keep track? Time is meaningless.
I mean, the only reason I can remember is because I feel like when I was just there, of course, I went to Carousel of Progress, and I have a story about that. But of course I went to it. I don't think it was my first time seeing those new costumes, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's been at least, a full year. But in any case, shall we move on from Hoop-Dee-Doo?
Yes.
All right, join in the celebration of the new Frozen holiday surprise as Olaf and more than 100 of his Snow-Gee siblings decorate Cinderella Castle with festive touches. Appearing live on stage in new holiday looks, Anna, Elsa, Olaf, and Kristoff each bring something special to the gathering. Festivities culminate as Elsa adds sparkling finishing touches, transforming Cinderella Castle into a shimmering, crystallized palace, a look that will remain throughout the evening. Bringing this spectacle to life is no small feat, as lighting designers, video technicians, composers, and even a full orchestra worked together to create this new holiday magic. This is debuting November 7th, and it will occur nightly throughout the holiday season. And this is kind of interesting to me. I'm trying to remember, like, what was... So I remember Frozen Holiday Wish. We all remember that, right?
Sort of.
Yeah. So there was already a castle lighting show.
Right, but it was the physical Cinderella Castle Dreamlights.
Exactly. So it was, yeah. So it was the castle draped in, twinkle LED lights. And it's interesting to me, and that ended in 2019. I think that was a pandemic thing. It went away because of pandemic in 2020. So if the pandemic had ended that show and they decided to get rid of the actual physical lights instead of just projection, if they had brought back a Frozen Holiday Wish, I feel like people would have been like, oh, this is like a dumbed down version of that show. So they had to create a brand new show in order to justify not having the lights. Am I thinking this through too much?
They had to wean us off the lights. They had to be like, yeah, we're just going to throw some random projections on there. And it feels like now you would hope that they seem satisfied with the way that these particular projections are going to look, and that's going to make sense. Oh, we'll have Elsa do it, so it's going to be like this icy look. I hope it looks cool. Like, I hope that that's the idea.
I'm sure it'll look great. I think the projection mapping that they do on Cinderella Castle is fantastic. So I have no doubt about that, but there's definitely a difference between projection mapping and physical lights. There's the pros and the cons, right? Like, the budget-wise, I'm sure it saves a ton of money. Just the time and labor of hanging those lights is insane. As I've said many times, every year I went in October, it was already draped in those lights. So I totally get the reasoning, but it is different, right? It's like saying, hey, let's have the Osborne spectacle of dancing lights, but it's all projections instead. Like, it's just different. And yeah, I think as time passes, we're going to, like, just in a lot of entertainment cases, it's a lot easier to projection map. Even, I'm not saying it's a simple process or an inexpensive process entirely, but just time-wise, I feel like it's a lot simpler. So yeah, I think we're going to see more and more of that. And I think actual Christmas lights are going to become more of a novelty when it comes to themed entertainment places. But who knows? But I do feel like that is the reasoning for a brand new Frozen Holiday Wish show, or a brand new Frozen Holiday Surprise, rather. Oh, so we've gone from a Frozen Holiday Wish to a Frozen Holiday Surprise. The surprise is, hey, no lights.
Yeah, and it's funny because I didn't realize how much they downplayed things the past few years. Both you and I went looking at like what they called it in the past few years, and I couldn't find anything. They barely even mentioned the fact that there's anything, and I guess it was just projections with no name and no pomp or circumstance.
Yeah, so 2019, from what I gathered, is the last time they hung Christmas lights on Cinderella Castle. So, it's been a few years. Folks are used to it by now, but I don't know. I just found it very interesting to have the same theme, same characters, yet a very different way of presenting winter on the castle, I would say. Yeah. Shall we talk more Christmas? Because now that it's November 1st,
it's allowed.
Halloween is far behind.
Busy month has ended, and we're able to talk Christmas.
What's so funny is every year I tell people, and when I'm in the hell of September, October, the hell that I love, by the way, but, when I'm in that, I'm always like, hit me up November 1st. We'll get together November 1st. I'll talk to you November 1st. And then November 1st comes, and it's just like, I'm gone through January. It's like the holiday stuff comes so quickly. Plus, I am a huge advocate of it is still autumn. Thanksgiving has not arrived, and we must still celebrate the foliage and pumpkin season. So there's that. But in any case, life is still busy. But let's talk about some more holiday news, because Walt Disney World has shared more details on Disney Jollywood Nights, the swanky holiday party filled with merriment, music, and spirited good times at Disney's Hollywood Studios. 2, not 1, 2 mesmerizing new shows will immerse guests in the joy of the holidays. Head to the Theater of the Stars and get ready for Disney Holidays in Hollywood, a star-studded variety show in the grand tradition of Tinseltown holiday specials, all with a twist of today's holiday magic. With special guest stars including Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, Tiana, Belle, Mickey Mouse, and Minnie Mouse, there are plenty of surprises in store, including a brand new original song by Tiana. Did we know this? I can't remember.
Well, so we knew that there was going to be a Tiana who was going to sing a song.
Who was going to sing, yeah.
Like Billie Holiday, I think is what the reference was. And I don't remember if that's the one that was like a song, sing like...
All I Want for Christmas Is You?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously it's going to be something like that probably, but not actually that song like we thought it might be.
By the way, just to go on a tangent for a second, because I'm a musical genius, as I was in Orlando with our pals Aaron and Ruben driving around, actually, I think I was with just Aaron at the moment that I had this stroke of genius. I've decided I will write a song for Mariah Carey called All I Want for Halloween Is Boo. And she will get another number one hit and make it 20, of which I now know she has 19 because our good friend Aaron Wallace educated me on all things Mariah as we drove around Orlando.
Have you heard our Queen of Pop argument?
No.
He's basically won
you
now.
and Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, this was several years ago, so there's probably some new entrants, but I was saying Madonna was the Queen of Pop, and he said Mariah Carey.
What about poor Britney? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well...
The Queen of Pop. Who would I go with? I don't know. I'd actually have to sit and think about that, but Madonna is like a solid choice. What was his reasoning and why did he win?
Well, I just think in the years since, I think Mariah's been more relevant than Madonna.
But she just opened a massive tour in London. I know because Rosie O'Donnell flew there to see her do it. But
the
in any
roundabout
case,
ways that we know things.
All I Want for Halloween Is Boo. Just saying. Trademark right there.
But you got to figure out the equivalent of that chord that makes All I Want for Christmas Is You so nostalgic and Christmas-like. You have to find an equivalent chord for spooky and...
Same chord, but minor.
Okay.
And with some dissonance.
Try it.
There we go.
What if the chord is already minor?
Then I'll make it a major. I don't know. I'll figure it out. In any case, we're insane. So that's happening. But I'm excited to hear a new Tiana song in the style of Mariah Carey, apparently. And what else is happening? Enter a dreamlike adventure in the Hyperion Theater where Jack Skellington takes us on an ethereal exploration. Sing along to beloved songs and discover peculiar magic in unexpected places. Along the way, you'll conquer Oogie Boogie and be encouraged to follow your curiosity. How nice. Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, and friends are wearing new outfits exclusively for this glitzy celebration, and they invite you to do the same. Ooh, they're encouraging people to dress up for this, which makes sense because there's a ton of photo ops. The new outfits are inspired by the party's vintage vibe, which celebrates the glitz and glam of Hollywood. Mint green and soft reds in sumptuous fabrics set the tone as you encounter Mickey and friends' holiday greetings in Animation Courtyard. The gang has just wrapped on the set of their new holiday film, and you're invited to catch a glimpse of the magic. Can I just say, I kind of love that this is like, it's making Disney's Hollywood Studios about making movies again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just, when I read that, I was like, wait a sec, they just finished making their new holiday film. Like, the park is all of a sudden recognizing the fact that it's a park about making, movies and TV. I kind of like that. A DJ will play the merriest of mashups featuring a mix of smooth classics layered with modern beats, while tunes at the entrance set the tone for the evening. Stroll around Echo Lake for a trip down a more recent memory lane featuring holiday music and characters like, for no apparent reason, Powerline Max, just because he's really popular, Chippendale, and Phineas and Ferb. Since the night is Hollywood, get ready to pose for special photo opportunities. Tell me if this has been done before in a Disney park. A robotic arm magic shot will capture your red carpet moment with a glamorous show-stopping video. I think this is one of those things where you stand in the center and the camera's on an arm and it just spins around you and does like a 360 video. But I can't recall this being, like, I've seen this at conventions and stuff like that, but
I don't know if I've ever actually seen this at convention. I've seen the one at like press junkets where it's just a bunch of cameras that go off, fractions of a second apart from each other, and so then it kind of creates this, if you play all the shots side to side, like you're kind of floating in the air. But no, I don't think there's been anything like this.
This is smart because obviously photo ops are huge at these parties, and although not something I would wait for, I think a ton of people would. But yeah, the thing I'm picturing, and I could be wrong, is you literally just stand in the center and like you're on a platform, and connected to this platform is this arm that juts out and that literally just spins around you like, with gravity, or, somebody pushes it and it spins while the camera records and it creates a kind of funky video. So that's what I'm thinking. I could be wrong though. And then there's also a camera array magic shot. 7 cameras that will shoot a boomerang-style photo of your group in front of a Disney Jollywood Nights backdrop.
So that's more like what I was just talking about.
Okay. And Disney's Jollywood Nights takes over Disney's Hollywood Studios on select nights from November 11th, very soon, through December 20th. It sounds like a really good party.
It does, and it sounds custom built for influencers and content creators.
True. But like, who isn't one to, like, I feel like the people who go to these parties, everybody wants their Instagram posts, right? And so they're giving the people what they want. You know, it does sound like some of it's really unique. And of course, the Muppets is very exciting. So it sounds like it's going to be a fun night. And I'll be curious how it compares with Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, because it sounds like 2 totally different vibes, which is great. That's a very good thing. And I'm sure a lot of people will do both of them, especially Florida residents, right?
Especially yeah. If I were there, I would do it too.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Guests who embarked on one of the last voyages of the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser at Walt Disney World reportedly returned home to a survey regarding their time on the ship. The Wrap refers to the survey as, quote, unusually specific, and mentioned that it asked questions like, are you an introvert or an extrovert? Obviously, there are many who would interpret these surveys as Disney's attempt to gain as much information as they can before launching a revamped version of the experience. However, the Wrap also presents the opinion of those who would disagree, citing a designer who works in the field, saying it's a big leap of interpretation. The designer elaborated, saying they're trying to exit this thing with as much data as possible. Disney has not yet commented on the reports of the surveys or the possibility of the Galactic Star Cruiser returning. The Wrap also mentioned that while the experience never turned a profit for Disney, it did earn the highest guest satisfaction ratings of anything in Disney history. That's impressive.
Yeah, both parts of it. It's impressive to lose money.
Yeah, it's impressive to fail that big. No, like that's a statistic I hadn't heard mentioned before. The highest guest satisfaction rating of anything in Disney history. I mean, think of everything that Disney has. And this is the highest thing ever. I mean, somebody needs to fact check that. But if that's true, that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you only have so many people to go from. The difference is anyone who buys a ticket to the park can usually experience an attraction and will have an opinion on it. Whereas I feel like because the bar was set so high financially for people to go to Galactic Star Cruiser, if you were going to do it, you already were pretty like all in about it. So that, you know, that can definitely color the results they're going to get.
But at the same time, the people who did go paid an extraordinary amount of money, meaning you're often more critical of things when that's the case.
Yeah,
you expect more. So sometimes you don't rate them as high. You'll be like, oh, it was good, but it wasn't that much money good. So I don't know. It's an impressive statistic. But speaking of galaxy far, far away stuff that didn't work out so well, in lieu of the Star Wars Hyperspace Lounge found aboard the Disney Wish, the upcoming Disney Treasure will invite guests to sip spirited craft cocktails among 999 happy haunts when the new ship sets sail in December 2024. The Haunted Mansion Parlor was designed after a first-class drawing room aboard classic cruise ships of the Golden Age, putting a nautical twist on the Haunted Mansion theme. This is going to be insanely huge, and it looks amazing. I don't know how they're going to accommodate everybody that wants to go on this thing.
This was Disney's worst-kept secret, too. It was pretty funny how they put it on the invites and then didn't say anything, and people aren't connecting the dots. Like, what did you think? And why didn't you actually do it on, like, they waited so close to Halloween. Why didn't they just do it on that day? It was all very random.
This is the opposite of the Hoop-Dee-Doo holiday special announcement, where nobody saw it coming. Fans of the attractions around the world will find tributes throughout the decor, including the beloved purple wallpaper, a mantle clock that goes to hour 13, and a curious-looking armchair in a corner. A new story unfolds throughout the sailing, following a jovial captain who entered the ghostly realm following a disastrous dinner with his beloved fiancée. The Disney Treasure's own ghostly residents will greet guests as they enter the lounge's portrait gallery. Characters from the Haunted Mansion attractions at Disneyland, Walt Disney World, Tokyo Disneyland, and Disneyland Paris will make appearances in the interactive lounge. A new musical arrangement by composer Shruti Kumar will help transport guests to another time and place as the story unfolds. And like the attraction itself, the Haunted Mansion Parlor will feature an ever-escalating anthology of illusions. I mean, have you seen the videos of this?
I haven't actually watched them because this was announced while I was gone and didn't actually bother to watch them.
It's just concept art.
Yeah.
But, like, it looks stunningly gorgeous. And I hope it's a decent size because, you know, the Hyperspace Lounge didn't look very big. I hope this is bigger.
Well, I think it's going in the same space, so I don't know if they found space for it, but...
The concept art looks bigger, but who knows? Like, that could mean anything. This is going to be insane. And as much as we've talked about, you know, move on from Haunted Mansion, there's enough. Like, this is exciting. And I kind of wish it would end up in a park somewhere, but I don't think it will. I think it's going to end up being, you know, unique to the ship, which is great. They also have some really interesting drinks that they've created. Blood orange and sour cherry flavors will harmonize in a shimmering zero-proof cocktail served in a specialty mug aptly titled, are you ready for this, Kyle?
I'm so ready.
Sympathetic Libations.
Yes.
Genius.
It is.
Whoever came up with that, well-deserved paycheck. They also have a drink called the Ghoulish Delight. They have a tequila-based cocktail that will contain a secret message only to be revealed by blacklight. What? Like, somebody got really creative with this menu. I love it. And there's also a large amount of Rolly Crump Museum of the Weird references, which was, of course, the early days of Haunted Mansion design. So tons of history here, hitting upon every mansion that exists, it sounds like, and some really creative... It kind of reminds me of the Ghost Post, to be completely honest.
Yeah, that's a great point. And do you think there'll be a crazy expensive drink thing like there is at Hyperspace that includes all sorts of privileges?
I forgot all about that, and maybe that's why. Maybe that's why Hyperspace doesn't do so well. So maybe I feel like that's something they would have mentioned, but who knows? I don't know.
Well, I don't think they mentioned it for like it wasn't
discovered until
people went on
it
the Wish. Yeah.
Okay.
It was just discovered. Also, it struck me as you were reading the intro there. Do you think there's going to be like a generation of people who just think that the 13 on the clock is a Taylor Swift reference?
I'm going to show you how old I am. I don't get the reference you just mentioned. I know who Taylor Swift is. I don't know what does 13 and Taylor have to do with each
It's her favorite number. She was born on December 13th, 1989.
Okay, good for her.
She's going to own your show soon. She's going to own everything.
Listen, I actually love what I know of her. I love. I don't follow her music. I do want to go to the movie once, you know, the Swifties have calmed down a little bit. I don't need to sing along. I need a concert movie. But can I talk about that? Is that a struck work or no? I don't think so.
That was SAG qualified. She went through the trouble of making sure it was SAG compliant.
Great, then I'm good to talk about it. I actually do want to see it, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for her, for what she does for artists and stuff. And I mean, I've told you my Taylor Swift story, right?
Probably, but let's give the people a treat.
I don't know if they've heard. I don't know if I've told this on the show, but I've had the coolest like Taylor Swift interaction. So I kind of feel like, what else do I need in life from her? But when I was working at a studio that we're striking against, she was performing live in one of the parking lots for a television show that no longer exists, but would be struck if it did exist. I don't know if I can talk, but in any case, she was on a talk show performing in a parking lot. And I was in Zack Snyder's office, the director, and I was just hanging out with some friends there. And his windows for his office were essentially her backstage area. So we had the window open, and she like came over and chatted, and she was like, "Hey, how's it going?" I was like, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you." And like this was probably a decade ago, so it was a long time ago. And then she went on stage and performed, and she was just very sweet, very nice, and ever since then, I've just been like, she seems like a cool person. And every time I hear like she's fighting for something, it always seems to be something that like I fully support. And she seems like a cool person. Like I honestly think we'd be besties, even though I don't know I couldn't tell you a single title from a single song.
Fair enough.
Do you think we'd be besties?
I think so. I mean, she is a friend of a friend of a friend, technically. So there you go.
Alrighty, Kyle, that's the news. Before we move on, I just want to remind folks, head over to Patreon, support the show if you have the means. Join us for some live stream Q&As, patreon.com/DisneyCTC. That's Disney with a Z. Find the link in this episode's description. And thanks. Let's talk about our adventures, because I went to Orlando and experienced a whole bunch of new things for me at Walt Disney World. You went to Hong Kong and experienced something brand new to the world. So let's hear about Hong Kong.
Yeah, so we went out there for a preview of, I'm just going to call it Arendelle, just to be safe. The area is Arendelle themed. So there's 2 attractions. There's Frozen Ever After and then Wandering Oaken's Sliding Sleighs. Which I'll start with that one, because that's kind of the big story to me, is people really expected this to be like a mine train, and it is not at all. It's less than a minute from the time you leave the station to the time you get back.
Oh, it's Tron.
Well, it's even shorter than that. You seriously, I think from the top of the lift hill, it's maybe 15 seconds. So I did it. I wasn't going to, but I had my wife go on to get the GoPro, and I swear, like, I'm looking, watch her car go, and then I turn around and see her coming back. I'm like, what? How is this possible?
Are you not a coaster guy? Why weren't you going to do it?
I'm not a big coaster guy, and
Gotcha.
I didn't know how thrilling it would be. And it turns out, in addition to being short, there's not much you could do to me in that time. There's a couple of, like, I'd say it's more intense than like a Gadgets Go coaster. Like, there's a couple of turns that feel like on the level of something like Big Thunder is what came to mind.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's a fun little ride. It was just short. And yeah, I don't know why everyone just assumed it was going to be Mine Train. I guess that kind of makes sense. But no, there's no dark, there's one animatronic before you go up the lift hill, and that's it. So it's a nice queue and a nice little ride, but it's not what people were anticipating.
I think the concept art lent it to the whole mine train comparison.
And the calling sliding sleigh. Like, it doesn't really even move side to side. It just, I guess it's tobogganing down a track, but that's also a little strange.
Is it beautiful? Like, is it a nice centerpiece in the land?
It looks great in the land. In fact, you can kind of see the entire ride from across the bay, and it also offers really nice views because it's a really beautiful land overall. There's a nice water feature like a lake thing in the middle. So when you're on the attraction, you can see all of that and see over to the other side of the land and stuff. So it's all very nice. But if you're waiting however long the line's going to be and then you're done in 60 seconds, I can see people being a little disappointed on that front.
Yeah, interesting. And who was the animatronic figure?
Spoilers if you're actually going to ride it, but it's Olaf dangling a carrot in front of Sven on a treadmill powering the lift hill.
Oh, okay. That's cute. And does Olaf speak? And if so, is it a different language?
So he speaks Cantonese in the other one. I think he only speaks English. He might speak Cantonese in this one as well, but I don't 100% remember.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, this area around the ride, all of the cast members are constantly keeping their hands up like Oaken and doing the hoo-hoo. It's really fun. So that was probably like my favorite detail. And you can actually see some of that. The Parks blog just put out a post looking at the costumes in the land, and you can see some of the cast members doing that. So that was really funny. And then Frozen Ever After, it's very much like the Epcot one. Some of the track is reversed, like you switch the opposite direction. But the big difference, and we talked about it before when they showed the previews, is the animatronics look so much better. The regular faces instead of the projection faces. And then because of that, also the scenes look way better lit. Like comparing a side by side, the Epcot one, it looks almost like Dayglow, just dark, and then just they're the only things lit, whereas this, it feels way more even.
That's an interesting point I'd never thought about. You have to light it very differently when they do the projected faces, because if it's lit too brightly from the front, the projected face won't be seen. So that affects the lighting of the entire attraction. I'd never thought of that. That's fascinating. But to be fair, I'd never thought to myself that Frozen Ever After at Epcot looked dark either. I think it's lit very beautifully. But yeah, I can see how that would make for a very different experience, more than just, a latex face versus a projected face. Interesting.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed the land. I think it's a great expansion. So in addition to the rides, they also have like a little show that was kind of cute. And there's food, including like a place that makes desserts that looked delicious. They had white chocolate fountains going off while you step in. So kind of like a Main Street vibe there. They have a lamb shank at the restaurant, but I got it was like a chicken cordon bleu.
Nice.
It was tasty. And then, of course, there's a shop with lots of pretty cool merchandise. Like
What kind of restaurant was it?
just like a cafeteria style. But I mean, they have like a few different combo things.
They don't have like a Be Our Guest sort of experience?
No, it's, the rooms look nice. So this type of restaurant is pretty common in Hong Kong. There's 3 that I can think of off the top of my head, the ones that I've eaten at, where, you kind of have a couple different sections. You go up and you get one of like 3 or 4 different options and then go off into your place to eat your section.
Cool.
I will say it's also my first time being in Hong Kong during Halloween, and I'd heard in the past that they'd had like legit scary stuff, but I didn't see any of that. Not like I would have avoided it, but I mean, I would have avoided it if it was there. But the only thing I saw that I was like, okay, this seems like a little bit out of place and that you wouldn't see it in a domestic park is that they sold a fruit punch in like one of those IV bags.
Oh, wow. That sounds so weird for a Disney park. That's so funny. That's a big thing at Universal. And, because it's very gory looking. It's a bag of blood. But that's so funny. That's actually really interesting.
Yeah. So they had that, and they had a Cruella show thing. So you kind of walk in, and it's kind of like a club. And then they do like a short little like fashion show. And then you leave. It was very interesting. People seem to really dig it, but it was called like Cruella's House of the Villains.
That's clever. Cute. Very nice.
But yeah, it was fun. It was cool to be back at that park. They really need that Arendelle expansion because those 3 lands they added however many years ago, that park is still so tiny. I just find myself feeling like I've done everything. And I got to see the new Walt statue, which I really liked. People were really into it. It's cool that you can like sit next to them, and it was a nice touch.
Awesome. So, I mean, if you're going to give it an overall grade for the whole Arendelle expansion, what's the sort of grade you would give it? You can go 1 to 10. You can go A to F. I don't care. You can give it 1 snowflake to 5 snowflakes. Whatever you want.
I'm feeling a B plus A minus. I think the shortness of the coaster is going to hurt it in some people's eyes, but I think it's a well-constructed, really beautiful place to hang out. And I also really liked the merchandise. They had some like ornaments and stuff that felt like woodwork and kind of fit more of like what you'd buy in Arendelle rather than just being themed the whatever Arendelle from.
Yeah, so the Galaxy's Edge strategy of handmade, handcrafted merchandise. That's
not
cool.
all of it, but some of it I felt had that vibe.
That's cool. I mean, that's a pretty good grade for it. I am kind of curious, did it, when you're in the land, did it feel like the e-ticket, for lack of a better term, attraction was the coaster or Frozen Ever After? Which one do they kind of like market that way? Or
that's a good question. I guess Frozen Ever After, like it's on the main thoroughfare. So it's kind of, the land's kind of split into 2 sections. Like you have the one where you have that big ice crystal thing that when you walk in, and that leads straight back towards Frozen Ever After with the shops on the side and then a toy shop as the exit. And then there's a little bridge, and over the bridge you have the show and Oaken's and then another exit. So there's 2 entrances, also kind of like Galaxy's Edge.
I was going to say, you mentioned a show. What's the show?
So the show is Playhouse in the Woods, and it's kind of, I guess I'd equate it to like story time or the Enchanted Tales with Belle, but it doesn't have the cool effect or anything. It's just a little show where you get to interact with Anna and Elsa, and Olaf is there. But they also have those characters come out. Oaken comes out to greet. There was a musical trio, like a fiddle and some other music that they kind of have as citizens. There's a magic guy that does a show in the land. So you can totally like hang out there, and it feels organic to Arendelle.
Well, I love live entertainment, so that sounds cool. How do they handle the castle? Do you see it off in the distance, like a Beast's castle sort of situation?
So you can see something popping up before you get there. That's actually the one thing I didn't really like about it, is even with that nice big castle now, over to the side of it, you can see something popping up.
When you say the nice big castle, you mean like Hong Kong Disneyland's centerpiece castle?
Yeah, the big castle, the Castle of Magical Dreams. Yes, I feel like I've regained my 6th castle status now, because before the last time I went, it was still Sleeping Beauty Castle. So now I've seen the new castle. I've seen the new statue. I'm back up to speed.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you had a good time. I mean, overall, you had a nice vacation and good travels and everything.
Yeah, I mean, well, I took the shortest flight of my life, followed by the longest flight of my life. And then once I got off the longest flight of my life, I still wasn't in Hong Kong.
So I went to Orlando. I'm curious if did you go to the Disney parks while you were in Orlando?
You know what? I stayed at the Swan and Dolphin for my first time, and I didn't go to a Disney park, but then I only went to Universal and I stayed at Aventura.
Did you have anything to add about the Swan and Dolphin? Anything exciting going on?
Well, there was a big convention going on, so I kind of, that was kind of annoying, but it was nice to be right next to Boardwalk and Yacht and Beach. That was fun. But then Aventura was pretty cool at Universal. I never stayed on Universal property. It was a pretty nice hotel. And I went to the parks for the first time in a while. So that was cool too. I did the new Minions thing. It was okay.
Oh, it's terrible. The new Minions attraction, the Minion Blast or whatever the heck they're calling it. Listen, kids will love it. Kids love Minions. But the last thing people want to do after waiting in a long line is stand in a conveyor belt to shoot at screens. Like, it's the last thing people want to do. It's a C- attraction, and I think that's being generous. It was, I mean, to be fair, it's what I expected it to be. I wasn't expecting all that much, and I'm not like a huge Minions fan, but it's, I applaud them taking the chance on it. It very much felt like, hey, we need to make like kind of a budget attraction, but we want to be able to call it a quote unquote ride. Like, let's see what we can come up with. And I think that they tried something. I don't think it works. I hope we don't see it repeated. But yeah, I didn't love it. In any case, that was Universal. Let's talk about some Walt Disney World stuff, because I saw the updated Fantasmic, because last year when I went, it opened like the week after I left. So I saw the new-ish Fantasmic, and, you know, I don't like updates to Fantasmic, is what I'll say, because what they do to Fantasmic, and I get why they do it, they just seem to give people what they want, right? Like they're like, we need more princesses, we need more of everything. And so, as most people probably know, they took out the section with Pocahontas and John Smith, and they replaced it with a bunch of other characters like Elsa, like Moana, and even Aladdin. And so, like, they added a bunch of stuff. So here's my complaints. Number one, if you're going to update Fantasmic, more villains, please. It's a show about the villains. Like, the villains should be featured more. And they, you know, took out a villain section and put in a hero section. So I don't love that. I also feel like they added too much stuff, and it felt like very much like survey driven. Like, who would you like to see in Fantasmic? Check the box, check the box, check the box. I just don't think it improves the storytelling or the production. But I will say, I think it satisfies an audience. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was an improvement, but some of the tech improvements were nice. Some LED lighting was nice. You know, a dragon that is still alive is nice. And yeah, I don't know. I felt kind of similarly when we got Fantasmic 2.0 at Disneyland. I was like, it's not an improvement, but there's some really cool tech. And that's what I would say. And as far as the new scenes, the stuff that featured the character of Moana is probably the best addition, in my opinion. But yeah, that's how I felt about Fantasmic. Any questions?
Any questions? No, I'm good.
Okay, let's move on from there, because my pals Aaron, Ruben, and I got a nice surprise when we visited Muppet Vision 3D. None of us were expecting some TLC at that attraction, but let me tell you, we got some new projections happening with Waldo spinning around on the walls. With the fireworks in the ceiling were finally fixed. And yeah, there were just some like nice upgrades to the attraction, which makes me feel good, makes me feel like it ain't dying. It's not going away. But I will still say that the seats and the curtains are very grody, and they hopefully, I'm hoping what's happening is that it will be updated, you know, in segments, so they're not closing down the attraction to update it. So it was nice to see some updates to Muppet Vision 3D that I was not expecting. I think that's great news.
Yeah, I saw pictures of the update with Waldo, and yeah, I'm glad that, because there's been concern in that area too, where I think the piggy went away on the fountain. Now she's back. So anytime they do anything over there, everyone gets very scared.
It's true. But yeah, I like this idea of plussing or updating an attraction while it's still open, and not like, we're going to be closed for 3 weeks. It's like, no, we'll take care of a little bit at a time overnight, and eventually it'll all be done. So that's great. I also had an epic experience at the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. As you may recall, I had Kevin Brassard on the show on episode 1023, one of the Epic Stunt Spectacular day one performers.
Yeah, actually, my wife, we're in Ohio right now, and she just found a photo album, and one of the photos in it is her with him performing in the show.
That's amazing. Now, I have a photo with him as well because he was kind enough to get us VIP seats. And then after the show, he brought us on stage. And listen, I know that this is a job for him and everybody that's been there for like over a decade and many years and whatever. And I've been in those situations where like I've done a show a billion times and to me, it's like no big deal. But can I just tell you, it was beyond thrilling to step on that stage for the first time ever. Beyond thrilling to look out and that empty audience because everybody else had left. Beyond thrilling to walk up to the sets that, you know, that Rockwork set in scene 1 is so beautiful. Beyond thrilling when I'm standing there with Kevin and our buddy Ruben, and all of a sudden the props master is like, oh, here you go. And like gives us the idol to hold and take photos with. I'm like, okay, I was having a serious geek out moment. And in the moment, I'm like, I get like these people, I know that they're just like, this is just work for them every day. But oh man, thrilling. So really, really enjoyed
I'm
that.
sure you get part of that too from working at the studio that shan't be named, just how people geek out when they see stuff that you see every day.
Totally, 100%. So it was a very, very fun moment. And I thank Kevin for making that happen because it was very cool. Tron Light Cycle Run, I've done it.
Yeah. What'd you think?
Number one, and I'm asking this legitimately, what is the purpose of virtual queue? Like, what is it supposed to do?
I don't know.
Because I waited an hour in line with a virtual queue. And I was like, doesn't this defeat the purpose? I don't quite get it. Having said that, the attraction is what, you know, everybody said. Well, actually, I'll say this. I went in a little worried about it because I'd done, is it called Pony Express at Knott's? Mm-hmm. I'd done that attraction, which is an old attraction, but you sit very similarly because you're straddling a horse in that attraction. And I remember doing it years ago and it made me very uncomfortable. I'm a claustrophobic individual. And the way that like the back plate pressed up against me, it just made me feel locked and it freaked me out a bit. So that was a concern I had going into Tron. And they have test seats out front, and I did it, and I was fine. And I will say, the ride vehicle, super comfortable. It's an awkward position, but I never felt like restrained to a point of discomfort. So that was a huge plus. I will say, like kind of the pre-show, for lack of a better term, you go into a room with about a dozen people, and you're looking at this projection on a wall, and all of a sudden, the projection on the frosted glass disappears and you're like looking down at the track and seeing a coaster launch and it's like the reveal of the track. And I was like, oh, cool. Like it just came out of nowhere and it was thrilling.
I thought you were setting up to say that you didn't like it was such a letdown. So I'm glad you enjoyed it because, yeah, everyone loves that moment. It's something that I didn't expect the first time I went on it. And yeah, surprisingly effective.
Yeah, very simple because they didn't like, it's one of those things like you don't talk about it. Like you don't promote this as, and we have this feature of just let it be a little surprise. It was a shocking surprise for me and super, 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 super effective and probably my favorite part of the attraction. The ride itself is fine. It's a coaster. My complaint about it is because of the position you're in, your head is looking down at the track. Yet there's projections and stuff up to your left and right. So like you're craning your neck up while you're going at a speed, like it's not comfortable for your neck. Yeah. And that would be my complaint. It's nothing I would wait a tremendous amount of time for, but it is something I would do again if the line was 30 minutes or less. So there's that. Moving on from there. La Crêperie de Paris. I went to that in Epcot and got the bechamel cheese and ham galette or Gillette. I don't know. I think galette. Gillette's a razor blade. So these are, you know, the crêperie window. It wasn't that good, in my opinion. It was fine, totally fine, but nothing I would return to. It was meh. But my favorite moment sitting there eating it was all of a sudden I hear this mom walk by and go, Beauty and the Beast, sing along. And she sounded angry. And then she follows that up with, hell yeah. And I was like, all right. I was like, you just made my day, woman. She made me laugh so hard. So I hope she enjoyed it. And then I will say I was in Epcot the day that Journey of Water opened, and I did not get in. It was virtual queue only, and it was just too short of a day, too much going on. But I saw it from the monorail, and it looks pretty. Nothing that you should wait tremendously long for. Of course, I experienced Carousel of Progress twice, but I will say there was a very lovely cast member who was a listener of the show who said, hello to you. I apologize, I forget your name. But she had the job of letting me know the second I stepped up, it broke down. And I was like, no. She's like, yep, like literally just now, it just broke down. I was like, no. So I thought, if I come to Magic Kingdom and don't get to do Carousel of Progress, that will be heartbreaking. But luckily it reopened, got to do it twice. And of course it was fantastic because it's the Carousel of Progress. And then I will just head over to Universal again for a second to say that I did a time traveling escape room.
Me too.
Did you really?
I did. Yeah. Me, Mike Celestino, and our friend Luke.
Wait, it's like Mike was there?
Mike, the LP crew was all in town for a wedding.
Oh, very exciting. What did you think of the time traveling escape room? And how did you score?
I will say I've never done an escape room before, and I know that this is not like, or no, they keep emphasizing it as an escape, like adventure.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good mix of like being difficult at some points, but not too difficult. There was one time where I wish they didn't give us a hint that they gave us, and we were with two people that we didn't meet beforehand, and they were not getting the hang of. They were really good throughout the rest of the thing, but there was one puzzle in particular that for whatever reason, I'm trying to communicate with them and be like, no, see, like this lines up. And anyway, long story short, we took too long on that puzzle, so we got a 14 out of 15.
That's what we got. Was it the music room?
No, we did fine in that one. It was when we were in the Mad Dog's shed. They didn't realize that there was numbers on the thing. And I'm like, yeah, like you can see the numbers on the wheel, like just match that up. They were just trying to be like, okay, turn it a little bit. Like, no, just go to the number.
Listen, I don't think it's a perfect experience, but it was a very enjoyable one. I would definitely do the dinosaur escape room the next time I go. I thought it was a lot of fun. 14 out of 15 for us as well, which apparently, at least they said, was a very good score.
That's what they said to us as well, yeah.
So who knows? Maybe
and also, if you have a knowledge of the source material, there's a couple things we were able to skip a step by being like, oh, hey, it's going to be this.
My biggest complaint is that the sets are beautiful, the rooms are stunning, but they're very small. Mm-hmm. And for that reason, like, they're just not believable. And I get it, budget, right? Like, as far as the number of people you put through, as far as, building the sets, that all costs more money the bigger you make it. But that's what took me out of the world. Otherwise, really fun experience.
And the Christopher Lloyd thing was understandable and funny. I thought they did a good job.
And by the way, I will say something they don't. I like Galactic Star Cruiser. I think the marketing for these is totally wrong, and it's not doing super well because of that. But I will say, just to anybody who's thinking about going, one of the perks that they don't advertise that was mentioned to us on the phone when we were buying tickets is you get free parking to Universal City Walk with your paid admission to the escape rooms. So, and that's like $30+ right there. So that's worth keeping in mind. If you want to go do the escape room, get the free parking, and just like enjoy a night at City Walk, highly recommend. Universal Coast to Coast. Here we go.
And we went to go check out Dead Coconuts Club right after. So perfect double feature.
We did that. Oh my God. We literally did it a week apart from each other. It's so sad. Oh, Kyle, I want to see you. And one last thing I will mention. I was in Massachusetts. I went to Salem, Massachusetts, because a gang of people, Omri Katz, Vanessa Shaw, Thora Birch, and Jason Marsden, were in town. They might have made a little Salem-centric witchy film there at one point, perhaps 30 years ago. They were throwing a big party called It's Just a Bunch of Halloween. They were very kind enough to invite me, and I went and had a wonderful time with them, and it was just really fun to be in Salem with that. I'd met them all before and interviewed them all, but to hang out in Salem with them was a lot of fun. So it was a crazy, wild adventure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw your photo.
Yeah.
It looked great.
I don't like photos of myself, but I will say, like, that photo turned out really, really well.
Yeah, I liked how everyone was dressed up and everything. Like, that's why it took me a second to realize who everyone was. Like, I got Jason right off the bat, and then I'm like, oh, is that Thora? Oh, that is Thora. Okay.
Yeah, really fun, nice, lovely people. So that was a thrill. And that's all I got. That was my little, adventure. I loved your adventure. Anything you want to add before we go?
Well, before I head home, I'm stopping in Kansas City, where Walt started his career so many years ago. So that'll be a nice little stop on the way. Not quite on the way, but on the way for us. On the way.
You're going to go to the Laugh-O-Gram studio?
No, we're going. So the Disney 100 Museum, they've already announced that the exhibit is going to Kansas City, and I think I'm going to find out when.
Very, very cool. And one other thing to add that we didn't talk about is the fact that the Disney After Hours events are returning to Walt Disney World pretty soon. Well, 2024. So if you're a fan of those, get ready to go to more of them. So that's happening. And I think that's going to do it for this week, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, it was lovely to catch up, Kyle. I missed you 2 weeks ago. I'm sure everybody listening did as well. And I'm glad you had a great trip.
Thank you. You too. I'll talk to you again in 2 weeks.
To read more about any and all of the stories you've heard here today, simply visit the show notes link in this episode's description. You've heard the news, and now I want to hear what you have to say about it. What do you think about the updates we got for Disney Jollywood Nights? Is there a particular thing you're looking most forward to? Share your thoughts on that or any other topics mentioned in today's episode. Call 818-860-2569, and you may just hear yourself on a future episode of Disney Coast to Coast. Thanks for tuning into this episode. Don't miss any future episodes by subscribing and following Disney with a Z, Coast to Coast on your favorite podcast app, where episodes are available 24/7. Until next time, anything you need can be found in this episode's description. From additional information and links discussed in this episode found in the show notes, contact info to reach me, access to the show's official website, some free gifts from me to you, and so much more. So be sure to check out this episode's description. Other than that, folks, have a magical day. Bye!